kind of already talked about the QB picks, right?
Did you pencil it or did you type it?
I typed it.
You should send it to me.
Aye,
forgot
Captain.
already. Who
I
do we
wanna
pick as
try
quarterbacks?
something.
When did we draft the running back? What?
Do like, how do you want me to
On-
send this to?
You want to just like screenshot it?
I don't.
and
I know.
text you it?
I would say Facebook, but you don't have
Oh my
Facebook.
Oh my god!
DM me on Twitter,
What
brother.
were you born in 1960?
Yeah, did you wanted to start with the oldest? You seem to be the oldest
Right,
here,
yeah.
apparently.
Oldest soul.
How about you just email it to me?
Oh my
Okay,
god.
all right.
At AOL?
Fucking AIM,
There you go.
please.
Cut this part out. Give me your email.
Oh.
Otherwise, Dill's gonna get a bunch
Dox him, everybody. Dox him.
It's dot at Gmail.
Okay, oh, I already.
What's
have
your
this,
social
actually.
security?
I already have this actually. Okay.
That
I
is
sent it. Alrighty, we are back for part 2 of our building the perfect NFC North roster using current players. Had a little questionable, pick last week, but that's okay. Apparently, he's currently still a Viking. Right, Dill? Harrison Smith still a Viking?
yes. Say what?
Minute to
Who's
minute,
still-
that
who's
can
still Viking?
change.
To be fair, the Vikings don't even know if he's a Viking.
Right, right.
Yeah, for that.
We don't
So-
even know who our head coach is.
What?
Throwing shade. AOC, baby.
Bill's hoping they take his application. So, quick recap of our Build the Perfect NFC North roster. A lot of unanimous picks, easy ones, right? And then some off the board picks. So, quickly, QB, everyone went Caleb Williams except for JC, who took Jordan Love. Running back was unanimous with Jahmyr Gibbs. Wide receiver 1 was unanimous with Justin Jefferson. Wide receiver 2, who, was still wide receiver 1. Unanimous with Amon-Ra St. Brown. The tight end pick, everyone went Colston Loveland except for JC again. He likes to be a Lone Ranger with Tucker Kraft. Tackle, everyone went Penei Sewell except for yours truly, Viking, staying true to Christian Darrisaw. Edge was a wild one. JC and I went Micah Parsons, Eddie went Aidan Hutchinson, and Dylan threw us for a doozy there with Montez Sweat. Linebacker, everyone went Jack Campbell, except for JC, Edgerrin Cooper. Cornerback, 50-50. Dylan and myself picked Jalen Johnson. JC and Eddie picked Isaiah Rodgers. Safety, everyone went Xavier McKinney except for Dill, Harrison Smith. And then everyone surprisingly went Ben Johnson for head coach. So breaking it down, we already kind of talked about the QB position last week. Running back, clearly explosiveness. Same with the receivers. That's just easy. They'll complement each other in an insane offense. Tight end, I forgot what we talked about. You were talking about the ACL injury.
The injury, yeah.
JC,
More accomplished overall as
more
an
accomplished
overall
overall.
tight end,
Yep.
blocking, receiving.
Yep. Dill, why did you go Colston Loveland over Tucker Kraft, Sam LaPorta, Hawkinson? But I don't know if you really want to throw him in there.
You didn't want to throw Josh Oliver in there? Come on. I chose Loveland because, and this was just over LaPorta. Kraft wasn't even a thought. And I don't know. From what I saw this past year was just, I can't wait to see more and see how good he's going to be, basically. And that's the guy is, I don't know. I feel like once he gets really good at blocking,
yep.
I feel like it's going to be unstoppable. And I still don't even think he's that bad of a blocker. Especially with the way you guys run your team. So it's, that's where the head coach all comes in.
Yeah, I agree. And Tucker Kraft wasn't actually on my radar either. one, I really like Sam LaPorta. I think that he did digress a little bit last year, but he's very talented, and you can see what he can do in a Ben Johnson's offense.
Yeah.
So that's where it came down from for me. If I'm building the perfect roster, it's between the two tight ends who have already played within Ben Johnson's system, and both have shown they can play ball. They'll exceed in that offense. So that's why Tucker Kraft wasn't, it's not that I don't think he's a talented tight end. He clearly is. But that when I'm thinking about the overall roster and how I want that to be built to be perfect, we're striving for perfection here. And those are the two tight ends that have already exceeded within Ben Johnson's offense. Eddie, do you have anything, because I know you guys kind of talked a little bit about the...
So I like your point for Sam LaPorta too, because he was a close third for me. But for me, with building my perfect team, I imagine just how high powered this offense is. I felt like Loveland gave me the best wide receiver, big type of prototype there, where yes, he may not be as prolific a blocker as a LaPorta or as a Tucker Kraft is at this stage in his career. He's obviously very young, but I just feel like in that particular offense, having him as your check down, turning that into 20+ yard gains when everyone else is so focused on Gibbs, on Jefferson, on St. Brown, it just made the most sense to me.
I think the only thing I had is I think Loveland's fantastic. We defended the kid a lot, but he showed the exact same upside that Tucker Kraft already showed. And there's no statistical differentiating year I know he's only had 1 year, so we don't know yet. But there's nothing that's pushed him that much further. And Tucker Kraft hasn't been in this league this long either for us to say that, we've seen his ceiling too. So I think they're pretty close neck to neck. Just that Tucker Kraft is a better blocker and utility and other things, but he also has all the receiving upside. That's the only reason I put him ahead at that point.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So the ceiling we haven't seen is Loveland's.
I just said that they're pretty much it's 1 year and 2 year players.
I think
players.
I think how I approach this, and maybe it's a little bit different than how you guys approached it, but I'm literally if I put this team out on the field tomorrow,
that's what
what is the best combination and
Agreed.
What is the highest output I'm going to get? And even if Tucker Kraft wasn't injured, I'm still going Colston Loveland.
I would have swapped.
So it's just, we can talk about upside, right? And of course, it should be in the conversation. But, just like I've seen enough of what Caleb Williams can do, I think I've seen enough of what Colston Loveland can do. And again, already being in Ben Johnson's offense, that's why it would that's how my brain was approaching it. So, but yeah. Who else did we have here? Okay, so the left tackle.
Yeah.
So, we all decided to go with the best offensive lineman in the league, but Dill decided to go with Christian Darrisaw.
Is he 30, 31 right now? What does he do?
Tell us your thinking behind that and why he's part of your perfect roster.
So I thought Darrisaw, well, that's sorry, my inner monologue was just kept talking. I was rambling. He hasn't played a snap.
You haven't said a thing.
Left tackle. Are we re-saying what we said before? I'm so confused. I picked Christian Darrisaw. Oh, go ahead. What's up?
Well,
what's your question?
I was going to help you here because your inner monologue's going crazy. To your point,
don't blame our inner monologue. None of us are doing this shit. It's just him.
No, blame mine all day long.
We kind of, we cleared it up off the air, if you would. Where
as a college student,
where because Penei Sewell has not isn't now he is, as Eddie says, now he's listed as left tackle, but he historically was listed as right tackle. So Dill went off a technicality of left tackle.
I followed the prompt.
I should have just put offensive tackle, to be honest.
Sure.
You should have.
And I could have even expanded it more.
Just
and
lineman.
yeah, and
I would have picked our brand new center. Damn.
okay, but
Technically
we'll
not an
we'll give you
offensive
the
tackle, but-
opportunity. Would you switch it, or are you still sticking with Darrisaw?
No, I'm still sticking it.
All right.
No,
All right,
I
fair enough.
follow. I'm not gonna take 5 points off. I'm following the prompt.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Okay, so here's the other interesting one.
Can I say that Sewell is the obvious choice? Like that is obvious. Like he's the better one, but I'm still sticking with Darrisaw.
I think he's a little
I'm
salty
still doing
from
it.
when Penei was a split tight end and took the game-sealing catch against the Vikings,
You know.
and then babied Metellus.
Yeah, sure. Okay, he's going
You
with
know-
Darrisaw.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Don't
Yeah.
give me the fancy, Ferrari. Let me get that Honda Civic over there.
You'll get more miles out of it,
Dude.
right?
Yeah, that's fair.
Dude, all day, cheaper to fix.
Yeah. How's the injury history going there, bud?
Sorry, so not Honda Civic, Impala.
Shut up.
Okay. All right. We're moving on to the edge position where, again, JC and I went Micah Parsons, Eddie went Hutch, and Dylan went Montez Sweat. So we'll keep it with Dylan here.
Well,
for this
okay.
segment.
There's two hot takes in this
wait, so
conversation.
I also had to go ahead, JC. What's your hot takes?
What? The fact that you and I picked someone not named Micah Parsons there, Chief.
No, yours wasn't the not picking him part. It's the
The position.
position
Yeah, that's
that
fair.
you chose that he wasn't.
fair. I wanted to pick him as linebacker. I was trying to game the
Yeah.
system. What do you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, just move fast. 'cause I'm like, what the
what? You would put him a linebacker over Jack Campbell?
No. So I was going to game him to put him as the other edge from being a linebacker because outside linebacker lines up on that. We in our defense.
Okay, to be
So
fair,
then he just doesn't want a linebacker.
Okay,
Correct. Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't need a linebacker.
to be
on my
fair with
perfect team.
Micah,
Like,
he
yeah,
moves
Hutchinson.
all over the place.
Yes.
But he's an edge.
That's fair.
He
That's
wouldn't
fair.
get paid what he does if he was a
Agree-
linebacker.
In that sense, yes, fully agree with you.
Yep.
I genuinely thought it was outside linebacker.
So
as
with
his
the question
position
there,
title. Yeah.
he's an edge and Hutch is an edge. Who are you picking?
As a pure pass rusher, I would switch to Micah Parsons, but for the draft, I will defend Hutch because it's still, I think it's good, commentary here and what we talk about. But yes, I would for a pure pass rush switch to Micah, but I'll keep Hutch for this.
I
draft.
mean, yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
I think you honestly like.
I can make a case. is what I'm
yeah.
saying.
No.
Yeah, they're both. Any team would be lucky to have either
Absolutely.
on their
Yeah.
roster. For how I looked at it though is from a mere like pass rush perspective,
Sure.
like you're saying, is I do think that Hutch is the better run stopper,
Agreed.
but if I have Jalen Johnson and McKinney and Campbell back there, I want somebody to get as fast as the quarterback as possible, and that's going to be based
I hear
on who's back there. But yeah, so Dill, back to you on the Montez Sweat pick
You
because
weren't
we're
saying-
all
Yeah.
waiting so patiently. Why Montez Sweat over Parsons or Hutch?
I liked like the average, like he was not just like a solid pass rusher, but he's also like a solid run stopper. And I thought that, and also I don't want a wheelchair coming off my right side of my line.
What?
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 He's talking about Micah.
I understand, but still, like what?
I
Brother.
mean,
And
you
to
do
be
have something
honest-
going there from a durability standpoint.
That was my
Montez
intent too.
Sweat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude. And
He does this.
Hutch, what are we talking about? He's gonna break his other arm.
It was his
It was
leg,
his leg, and he played.
I
a
thought he
full
broke his
season
arm,
last
too.
Season, no problem. It was a
but
freak
he might have
injury.
broke his arm
Didn't he break his arm too?
in the past.
Didn't he have a
Not with
huge
the
like?
Lions, and I don't think he broke it in college. Maybe I'm wrong, but
I
think so.
don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't think so.
But he could have, honestly,
Yeah.
football players.
Yep.
Yeah. You never
So
know.
I will give you points for that. From the durability perspective, yes. But and I mean, I guess I'm kind of being a hypocrite here because I said if we put this roster out on
Tomorrow,
the field
yeah.
tomorrow,
I mean,
Micah Parsons is not available.
Yeah, there's your pass
tomorrow.
rush rolling at the quarterback.
So you do have me there.
I mean,
And I did
But
think.
theoretically-
I also
Has the
thought.
wheelchair.
If he-
I thought
available.
Hutch was a linebacker. I did think Hutch was a linebacker, but I didn't know he was an edge.
I mean,
It depends on
Okay.
the defensive
System, yeah.
You're 3-4-4-3, but
Right.
we're not getting into that. Okay. And I mean, Eddie, you kind of talked about it a little bit already, so I don't think
Yeah.
we need to go much deeper into that. Linebacker. I mean, it sucks right now because normally the
Right,
Bears have
exactly.
great freaking linebackers,
Yeah.
but we, got
Gave
rid
up
of Trey
Roquan.
Edmonds. Yeah, Roquan's been gone. Yeah, I do like
I
T.
mean-
Edwards, and I'm curious to see how Devin Bush comes, but like
Sure.
none of those are even close to Jack Campbell. Edgerrin Cooper I like, but I still don't put him in the same class.
I agree.
That one was my actual homer pick because I think
Fair
the other ones, I think there's a case that they are the best in their
Sure.
position,
Yep.
like Micah and Xavier McKinney.
Yep. Let's talk about the Jalen Rodgers and Isaiah Rodgers.
Jalen Rodgers, hell
Jalen
yeah.
Johnson and Isaiah Rodgers 50-50 split here. So, I mean, again, I'm coming from a overall roster perspective, right? I think Isaiah Rodgers, in my opinion, especially after seeing his Cincinnati game where he just like went
Dominated,
off,
yeah.
I think has tremendous ball hawk skills.
Mm-hmm.
But from a coverage standpoint, I like Jalen Johnson better. And with the hopes that, pressure's getting to the quarterback. You have Jack Campbell in the middle covering the field and McKinney in the back over top. So I don't know. I like the Jalen Johnson. But tell me.
Yeah. I say that's funny because that's exactly my argument for Isaiah Rodgers of when you have pressure, whether it's Micah screaming off the edge or Hutch or Montez Sweat coming off the edge, in theory, you're going to get more underthrown balls or pressured thrown balls and tip balls and whatever. And so I think that the ball hawk skills, while, Jalen's bear hugging the guy and covering him all the way down the field, Isaiah Rodgers will split off of that more potentially and get a more likely interception versus potentially a PBU. That's just, in my opinion, that's what it is that I just think that he's not as sticky in coverage, but the versatility to be able to break off and break on a ball, as we've seen this past year, I think that was my tiebreaker.
I think Jalen Johnson's great, but I think that he also got burnt a few times, and some might not have been his fault. Maybe it was the again, you don't have the pressure, you don't have the pass pressure or the pass rush to be able to facilitate these types of cornerbacks. I get that, but yeah, he was opportunistic when he had to be. I'll give him all that, so I'm not going to talk shit about him. But when you compare him, if you even you guys don't like stats, but if you look at the stats on both of them, and I had to look them up just because I didn't want to misremember, but he didn't have as good of a year as Isaiah Rodgers. Isaiah Rodgers had a more
Also injured.
Yeah.
yeah, but the stats only go by what games you play, not the full season. Like it's gonna go if you got burned here, you get knocked some grades. So by what games he did play, he had an okay year. It wasn't the best year that we thought he could have. Isaiah Rodgers.
Well, we've also seen, like, to the same point that Jalen Johnson's resume speaks for itself.
Yeah,
too.
of course.
He was the most feared cornerback in the North for a while after
They've
Sewell.
rarely targeted him.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, but again, we're talking about this next year. If we're doing the same
For sure.
consideration for like Tucker Kraft, like, oh, you want this next year, then I don't know how he's gonna play this next year. I still think he's gonna be a fucking beast.
Yeah.
But I saw what Isaiah Rodgers could do, so I was like, maybe he pushes that and he continues on with that trajectory.
Dill, do you have any thoughts on the Isaiah Rodgers, Jalen Johnson? Because interestingly enough, you're the Vikings fan and you picked Jalen Johnson, whereas, the Lions-Packers fan picked Isaiah Rodgers. So,
Yeah, I don't know why.
He forgot he was on the roster.
No, I don't know. I wouldn't say I've never been a big fan of Isaiah Rodgers.
We'll take him.
He's a Viking. I like him. I like all the Vikings, no matter what.
You can have
But
Nixon, like now.
I wouldn't say he's been my favorite lately, just because I feel like
I think
he came in a little flashy.
Yeah.
He's not a lockdown corner.
Agreed.
He's
No,
opportunistic.
Byron Murphy was a better corner for you in terms of one-on-one press coverage.
Oh yeah,
no
for sure.
Yeah. So that's
Which
just from, like, again, when I'm looking at the roster, like, yes, it's great to have opportunistic, but at the same time, we still want people that can do their job.
Sure. Yeah.
And like I can say that with Jack Campbell, he'll still do his job. I can say that about Micah Parsons, he'll still do his job. I can say that about Xavier McKinney, he's still going to do his job. From the corner, like, perspective, I don't know if every single time, and yeah, to your point, JC, he did get burned, but every corner gets burned at some point. They're not going to be perfect. There's never been a perfect cornerback that has never gotten beat. That's just the way of the game.
Revis Island when he was younger.
I mean, I bet you if we do enough, you'll see a time that he got beat.
Yeah, when he got older.
Yeah.
No, but I'm
Isn't
joking.
it-
I'm joking. Yeah, we get that.
It's funny how our safety is very praised, right? Our hitman is very, very praised. Well, why do you think he's very praised? Because he has to go safety net the cornerback, and who
So
was
he
that
has to
be?
do his job of playing the back line.
Yeah,
Huh?
what? How
What?
are we bringing
I'm sorry,
Isaiah
what?
Rodgers down? How are we defending him? He's your player.
That's the same argument. Why were Kirby
Hey,
Joseph
he's
and
not
Brian Branch so
technic-
good? Like, what?
As
do you mean?
as a coach, I'm making my team, so he's not on my team right now.
Yeah,
So
obviously.
He's building his
You know?
perfect roster.
Okay, so Harrison
then-
Smith's getting a little bit older. Can we push him to cornerback?
Well, I mean, since we're on the safety talk, right? We picked McKinney. You picked Harrison
of
Smith.
course.
So,
I mean,
what's the thought process
it's
there?
obvious.
Listeners, just to get to his
Just-
age, my dude is 37 years old right now.
Yeah, he doesn't have to do full on sprints if he's in the right spot, which he's smart, so he's in the right spot.
Yeah, but you have Isaiah Rodgers, and you made him seem like a
Yeah, you're gonna need him
liability.
to fly
You're
around
going to
there 'cause you're
really
gonna
need
get
him.
Yeah.
Weren't we just talking about this? I don't have Isaiah Rodgers. God, I have Johnson.
You're right. Yeah, he's just gonna sit back in the end zone, just drinking his Kool-Aid or whatever, man. Yeah, for
Okay,
sure.
that's fair. That's fair. You know what? He got me on that one.
Yeah, you're right. He got us.
We're talking about, yeah, exactly. If I put my team out there tomorrow,
Yeah.
I would rather have.
Well, and to be fair, he needs the man press corner of Jalen Johnson because Montez Sweat is going to take like 6 or 7 seconds to get to the quarterback.
Yeah.
got to stick.
I would have
longer.
Metellus.
Oh my god.
So I'm sorry. Why did you pick Harrison Smith?
His smartness, his smartness,
Smarticle. Very smart.
his
SMRT, baby.
overall football IQ,
Okay.
I feel like, is better. Is able to read the quarterback.
I think I get where you're going with this. So you want the
I'm being
veteran
biased.
leadership and experience, and not necessarily like the safe play, right? But at the end of the day, like Harrison Smith is going to consistently do his job as well. So I mean, I get it.
Yeah,
I get it.
But he's 37.
Gotta have
in
an
a
old person
field
for the
with best wide
conservatives, right?
receivers potentially in the league.
I do think that. Yeah.
Man, we're gonna run the ball up. We're gonna run the points up so much. It's not even gonna matter. It's not even gonna matter. Not even matter.
Okay, yeah, but that's for the other team when JJ throws interceptions and pick sixes. So it is going to
It's
matter.
not JJ. I have Caleb Williams. Gosh, man. Perfect team. Remember this.
That's fair, but I just somehow feel like the Vikings will still
But
find
I
a way
do
to
hope
fuck
Harrison
up
Smith
Caleb.
comes back. I can't hear JC if he's talking. He cuts in and out for me.
Oh, sorry.
Can you hear me now?
Oh.
Whoa. I don't know what he said to me. Okay. So we have our rosters together. Why did everybody pick Ben Johnson to be their head coach? I'm not going to go. So you guys
Eddie, you go first.
I could start this one really easily just
Go
because
ahead.
of
Oh yeah, that's fair.
But you could have had KOC or Dan Campbell.
KOC. Yes, Dan Campbell. Fuck no. But
Interesting.
All right.
I like Dan Campbell. I don't think he could. I don't think he could get a team to the Super Bowl. I'm just being really honest.
Okay.
KOC maybe with a better quarterback.
Okay.
So but the reality is, I don't put Ben Johnson too much further than Matt LaFleur. I just think that his play calling's a little bit better. I do think he's a little more creative. He does have some questionable things like on the go for it part that I would rather have Matt LaFleur. But when it matters, when you do need to be aggressive, Ben Johnson's going to be aggressive. Matt LaFleur's going to not. He holds the team back sometimes. And we've had these conversations. I've been pissed off. I've cooled down a little bit more, but I still have those feelings where there's a lot of times where we had chances to succeed, and he's held us back sometimes. So I would rather have Ben Johnson. But that's
Eddie,
it.
why did you go Ben Johnson over KOC, Dan Campbell,
Yeah,
Matt
so,
LaFleur?
so for me, it was between Campbell as the motivator and, Ben Johnson from that tree, so to speak, now, because now that's kind of like the way that Dan Campbell's trees are starting. But for me, the differentiator was they're both aggressive, but Ben's creativity, where, like, again, looking back at what happened last season, when Dan Campbell took over, we were still a top 5 offense, but I would argue that was more about the skill players we had and everything rather than the creativity. And I just think that with Ben, the amount that we can game plan each week, the motivation is still going to be there. I still think Ben's a great motivator. And I think some of that might have came from Dan Campbell, who is, in my opinion, the best, like, manly man to, like, lead people through a wall and into war. But I just thought that overall, Ben Johnson is more of kind of the strategist that'll give us the edge compared to Dan Campbell just gonna be like, run it up their face, brother, let's go. Like, I don't need that. There you go.
Dill?
That one surprised
good, better,
me. The
best.
Dill one.
What'd you say?
I said good, better, best. Never let her rest.
I love it. I love it. I actually was torn between KOC and Ben Johnson. From the offensive perspective, right? I was building this roster around Caleb Williams, and that just only meant, like, Ben Johnson. But I do think that Kevin O'Connell is a great coach and will bring the best out of your quarterback, and especially from a talent standpoint, like, if he has the players, like you said earlier, I think he's proven that he's very successful. But I'm with you guys. When you have this combination of players, it's like literally
evil genius.
Yes, like Ben Johnson is just like, oh my God, it'd be honestly very scary.
He would never leave the building. He's just like, guys, I have this new play I want to try. You all saw Stumble Bump. Let's try Stumble Bump V2 right now.
Yeah.
Dude, my guy would. You know how he came when he won? He did the whole, like, shirt off.
Yeah,
my dude's gonna be running in a
streaking down the field.
Yeah, he would definitely be drooling over this roster.
So Penei is our starting quarterback for this play. Caleb, you run a dig route. Jetta's over the top, hook and ladder with Gibbs for the touchdown. Let's go, guys. Figure it out.
No more annexation of Puerto Rico. It's annexation of
Wait,
Costa Rica.
something we didn't add: defensive coordinator. I feel like that. I know the
Flores.
answer.
Mr. Flores, please. Thank you.
But I just feel like we got to give Mr. Flores his
Flores.
But anyway, stay tuned because we're going to circle back to this next week. We'll see you guys in a little. Deuces.